Welcome to Lessons in Rural Community Engagement, a conversation series with Chelsey Patriss and Rosa Fernandez of the Health Equity Partnership of North Central Massachusetts.
The organizations also have to make sure that they're making spaces that are inviting to community members. So that way that they do have those voices on the table. Like I remember one year, like the senior center in Clinton was like, we want to get the Spanish seniors, and we know that we have a large population of Spanish speakers that are seniors in our community, but they don't come here. And I said, well, you have a big sign that says welcome, but you don't have it in their language, so they probably don't even feel that they're welcome within your institution. And it's really for a population that speaks that language, not even about, so really looking within your own internal organization, and are you making these spaces inviting to other populations, are you making these spaces? Are you hiring people that look like the people you're representing in the community? So that way, if language is a barrier, that they can at least be inviting with communication. Communication is key in this work that we do. So if you need to do an internal like assessment of your own organization, and are you as an organization really representing the communities you're serving? Serve.
So you were talking about knowing what your organization does, understanding, what populations your organization has good connections with, and maybe what populations are missing or are gaps for your organization. And so if you know that very clearly and, are transparent within yourselves as an organization, then you don't have to be all things to all people, but you do have to partner, right? So you do have to find who those organizations are that people trust, that people go to. If you're going to do some community engagement work and you need Spanish speaking seniors, you're not going to change your whole organizational structure overnight in order to, be inclusive and accommodating of Spanish speaking seniors. But you need to partner with an organization that does that, because otherwise it does become very transactional. And I think we did when we went out into our communities and were finding, that there were people who we were interacting with who were, for instance, Spanish speaking, and they would say, this is great. I love this process. How do I stay engaged? And we didn't have a good answer. I mean, we kind of stared at them blankly, like, we will give you a report later in Spanish. But we didn't have, I think that set up a mandate for us, right, to change something about how we engaged.
But to that point, why be engaged? Why do organizations need to engage? Why do you need to attend another meeting? Because these are our learning and our growth. So if an organization wants to grow with the community and be a part of the community, they have to be engaged, to all of these points. If you're not engaged, you would have never learned that there are some policies and procedures you need to change within your own organization. And really look at what your organization could deliver, or really look back. Oh, we say we're gonna address all the Spanish speakers, but we don't have nothing in Spanish. So
I think that was a key for us, in that moment where we realized that we were not set up to do some of the things that community wanted from us, was the transparency and the humility to say, we're trying, right? We're going to try and do this, and we are going to mess it up, and we're going to fall short, and we're going to grow, but we're here and we're going to listen, and we're going to take the criticism, right? And we're going to learn and grow from it. And I think you get more grace from people, when that's how you approach it. And you're not going to get grace from everyone. Like, there are going to be people who are going to say, like, you should have known better. You should be doing this better. Whatever. I am offended by this. I don't want to participate in this anymore. But you're going to get so many more people who do appreciate it and who want to stay engaged and want to help you grow. But you won't ever know that if you aren't open to it.
That's why we still need to fill our cups, because we will encounter those things.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not work for people who, can't take a bruised ego. But you're dealing with people you're asking people about their pain, right? When you're doing any kind of health equity work, whether it's with, rural seniors or, urban single moms, or, it doesn't matter who you're doing community work with. The reason people are coming to the table is because they want to make some kind of system better. And by default, that means that the system is hurting them in some way, and they care enough about that pain to be doing something. And it's messy, right? It's never going to be fast enough. It's never going to, solve someone's pain in that moment. And you are going to, kind of get caught in the fallout of people talking about what's hurting them, especially if you're the one who to them is representing the system or the organization that is hurting them.
And it's evident. It's evident when you open up a trauma. The things are released that maybe sometimes we as systems or within organizations don't want to hear, because we feel like we're the failure. And we failed you as an individual when it's really a system that failed you, that was embedded many ages ago, and because it's been embedded for so long, dismantling is what's the hard piece.
Yeah.
Because it's in our DNA. It's the way we run society. It's just the way we always ran it. And so now we have to undo a lot of that system stuff. So.
And that's the listening and the showing up consistently and repeatedly. And, it is so tempting to, take a beating from, in one of those community meetings and kind of want to just go back and lick your wounds. And but you have to keep showing up, because I think that's how you build that credibility. You brought up a point too that when you talked about, tokenism in an institution, or having someone who's embedded in an organization who is that voice. So there's a difference, right? There's when we talk about going outside and having somebody outside an organization who's like our go-to person. But there's also when that person is inside an organization, the dangers of tokenism are even greater, because they are pulled in a couple of different directions, right? Like, they're not unencumbered to just say whatever they want and be the voice for their whole group, whatever that is. But they're an employee of that organization. They have, they represent their organization as well, and they have a boss and coworkers who they want to represent well, and you put them in a really weird space when you're always asking them, how the organization should be approaching their diversity, equity, and inclusion work, or, I want to check this message with you how does this mission statement land with you?
No, and also navigating those spaces where sometimes that individual that's being tokenized sits in a meeting where there's not even another person that looks like them, so they're not even supported in a meeting, and then you have all these folks in around the table saying, "Hey, what can we do about racial equity?" And then you're in a room full of all white folks, or just people who just don't understand health equity or DEIB, and there's or they have some understanding through a textbook and not really understand it through a lived experience.
Mm-hmm.
So
And that's uncomfortable even when you're being asked for that input. Never mind when there's, conversation happening and you feel like you need to actually like interject with some kind of, wait a minute, what about this? And then you're stuck in that position of feeling like there's that person again who always has to bring up this topic.
Right.
And how to share that with other people in your organization who can be allies, who can say, hey, wait a minute, let's talk about this because I don't think this is landing well. And then, not automatically like deflecting it to you and saying like, what do you think about this?
Yeah, or sometimes they have great, brilliant ideas, but they're since for so long that either they've been shut down or asked too much, they remain silent when they might have some of the strategies that will help.
Well, you can also get in a position where you feel like you may have a wonderful idea, but your experience has told you that if you share your wonderful idea, guess who's in charge of that wonderful idea? You are. and, and if you're tired and you know that they should be doing something, you're maybe not going to say that wonderful, brilliant idea because you can't hold anymore.
Not to consider.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Lessons in Rural Community Engagement with the Health Equity Partnership of North Central Massachusetts and paid for by a grant from the Massachusetts Department of Public Health through the New England Rural Health Association.